and welcome to Talking Trades, the weekly podcast where we talk about comics so you don't have to. I'm Jeremy, I'm a DC fan.
And I'm John, I'm a Marvel nut.
And I'm Matt. And did you know that we live in a society where honor is a distant memory?
Boo!
Isn't that right?
Boo!
Jeremy.
Oh, he said it!
He did the thing! I would say I can't believe you, but I can. But I can.
Full disclosure, this was not my idea. It was a different host's idea.
It was my idea. But I'm like, comedically and timing wise, this would be a great fun fact.
I'll bet it was John's idea. Oh, yeah, it was John's idea. He just admitted to it. You sons of guns, both of you.
Yeah.
I can't. I mean, I would say I can't believe it, but I can. I can believe it.
Yeah.
You two are both equally the worst.
We try.
Well, we do live in a society, everybody. And in this society, we talk about what's going on this week in Geek.
This week in Geek.
This week in Geek, folks, we got a lot of stuff going on. The Snyder Cut trailer has dropped. Everyone's watched it. We've made jokes about it in the intro. But let's talk about our feelings about it. Gentlemen, how are you feeling about the Snyder Cut?
Are you familiar with the Sonic cycle?
Not offhand.
The Sonic cycle, it's a pretty old concept, about 10, 15 years old. It refers to fans of Sonic the Hedgehog and their cycle with the franchise.
Okay.
So you go from Sonic has had a good game in forever. New details about next Sonic game. Oh, this is awesome. This is exactly what the franchise needs. I can't wait for this. Then you see pictures of friends, pictures of new friends, and you get very cautious. And you're like, what are they doing? Is this too much? Then the game comes out and gets pinned. Then you go, oh man, Sonic hasn't had a good game out in forever. And it's the Sonic cycle.
That's Justice League.
I am fully at the pictures of friends, pictures of new friends portion of the Sonic cycle with Justice League.
How can you not be? That's very... That's going to be the you're the Joseph, whoever made that's the Joseph Campbell of our world. That's going to be the new hero cycle. It's going to be, that's how all media works from now on. And I can't argue with that feeling at this point. I don't know how to feel. I went from being excited to cautiously optimistic to seeing this and going, uh-oh.
Yeah.
This looks bad.
Oh man, there's no way this could be worse. This is going to be amazing. Give me those 4 hours. Now I'm like, you guys.
Guys, it might be worse.
I just have so many behind the scenes questions. Did you actually film 5 hours worth of content?
Right.
Oh yeah, no. We'll cut it down 2.5 hours. It'll be fine.
Yeah. When was this all filmed?
Did you have a nightmare scene planned in the original script?
I mean, they must have.
Sure looks like it.
Did they go into production? Did they go into production with the full intent of making an ultimate cut later? And film to make that I have so many questions about this.
When the book comes out in a few years called Justice League, God, how did they mess it up? We will know. But until that day, we just have to speculate. I am no longer cautiously optimistic.
Nightmare could work because it could retroactively justify that portion of Batman vs Superman, which
and the
it served
Funko
that
Pops.
narrative fine, but it could be. Yes, exactly. So it could come back and it could serve it. In watching Avengers Age of Ultron before WandaVision this past week, that movie, in my opinion, is made much better by everything that came after it. Because that movie was such a workhorse in setting up a ton of stuff. And I think that BVS was the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Where it just had way too much going on that it had to do to serve other projects to have its own unique and awesome identity.
The difference between Age of Ultron and BVS is Age of Ultron was movie number 19, and BVS was movie number
10-ish.
2. Like it's
that was a
you
problem.
can't like you can drop the ball on movie 10. You can't drop the ball on movie 2.
that was a big problem.
Because I agree with you. I think that BVS is made better by the things that come after it. But I still feel the DCEU is so incredibly disjointed, and this movie looks like it's going to disjoint it even more. Now, I say this, and I went into every DC movie, with the exception of Wonder Woman 2, ready to hate it and ready to be disappointed. And I've come out fine every time. So who knows? Maybe I'm going to be wrong, but I don't think I am gonna.
Pictures of friends, pictures of new friends.
Yeah, that's super apt, man.
Like, there is not time for the Joker in this movie. You have Darkseid, you have Steppenwolf. How do you also have time for Joker?
Yeah, I don't know what's going to happen, man. And I find it hard to believe that wasn't filmed recently, because someone would have said by now, like, oh yeah, he was on set for BVS, or he was on set for Justice League the first time. And that's never been said. So I don't think I think that's new footage.
There were no new scenes filmed for Justice League Snyder Cut.
None? Zero new footage was shot?
That's my understanding of it. Yes, is that there were, because it was like, oh, they're going to have so many extra shots. Then it was like, hey, there's no new shots.
That seems like it's got to be wrong. Like, judging by the amount of stuff we're seeing, that has to be wrong.
Right?
Right? I mean, my God.
Like, I know that there are reshoots going on, or there were, because, Henry Cavill, his mouth looks like a normal mouth.
Okay, correct. There were reshoots. We'll only add a few minutes out of 4 hours.
Okay. I think the Joker thing is going to be I think we saw his entire scene.
Yeah, I can't imagine he plays a big part in this movie.
I think he'll be like a side thing that's like, oh, cool. It now officially links. Like, we knew it was linked to Suicide Squad, but like, this completely links Suicide Squad. I don't know, man. I don't think I'm ever happy as the DC fan on this podcast lately, with the exception of the comic books, because the comic books have been great. My God, this just feels like a kick in the teeth.
We'll see. I mean, we have about exactly a month before it's out.
Oh God, it's so soon.
To almost the day. After when this goes live, it will be under a month.
Yep.
Oh my God.
Less than a month when this comes out. So we'll see. How
are we going to be viewing that? Is that going to be on?
Okay. I have an update. I am wrong. You are right. Per an article on October 21st, 2020, Jared Leto, who played classic DC villain the Joker in 2016 Suicide Squad, has joined in the shooting of additional footage for Snyder Cut.
Okay, that just makes so much more sense. And I believed you either way. Either way, I was like, that just seems like they told us the wrong information.
Mm-hmm.
That makes it doesn't make me feel better, but
it doesn't help. But it's nice.
But at least I know I'm not crazy.
Well, like, if they had mentioned him being on set for the original theatrical cut, the only place I could see him making any sort of impact is at the after credits scene, where it shows Deathstroke in all of his glory and perfection.
Yeah, among
with Lex,
the big
when they're
bads.
on the boat,
setting up, but not really setting up, but setting up the Legion of Doom. Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, there's still a lot of unknowns.
And then how do you
this film?
But how do you film? Like, have the script and then go, you know what? We need a Joker scene right here. That's how we.
I don't know, man. Zack Snyder. I don't know, man. Zack Snyder, man. I saw a really good thing about why Zack Snyder's Watchmen is terrible. And I'm like, I kind of like Zack Snyder's Watchmen. It's not as good as the comic. And the guy who's doing it is like, here's why Zack Snyder's Watchmen's bad. It's not because of any of the other reasons. It's because it exists. And I'm like, all right, I'm intrigued. And he talks about, and this is something that I've heard and I do agree with, the Watchmen movie shouldn't exist because Watchmen was written as a critique on society using the medium of the comic book, of the graphic novel. It's meant to be a graphic novel and nothing else. Like, it uses tropes, it uses its different, styles and techniques that only a graphic novel could do to tell its story. So it's really only meant to be that. I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And they're like, and also Zack. I'm like, all right, I don't want to hear this. I've already heard enough Zack Snyder trash, like trashing in my life.
Something about that movie recently. The take I heard on it, which was that the movie was good, and the reason why it's Zack Snyder's best movie from this person's point of view was that he strayed so close to the original script that it couldn't have gotten too bad.
That seems
Like, he stayed very
you're
close to Watchmen.
I mean, hey man, I would instead of using your hands to grasp all those straws, I would grab a bucket. Because that seems like a lot.
Pick up a lot more with a bucket.
That's what I'm saying. I argue that 300 is his best film because it's like it doesn't really require much plot.
It sure doesn't. It's
It's just a
straight
fun
up-
action
doesn't.
movie with really cool fight scenes.
But then we have Sucker Punch, which has no plot.
Yeah, but it was supposed to. That's the
Oh,
difference.
oh. That's where the ball was.
Oh, look at this ball. This ball just keeps falling.
You can't just have awesome set pieces. You need a cohesive story to bring it.
Wait,
together.
what?
I got it.
Wait, so you're telling me Les Mis isn't just them looking at France going, this is beautiful for an hour and a half? And then there's a
No, there's a lot of
an act
problems in
break.
France at that time.
Wait, what? Hot take. I don't like
They're-
hot
they're
take. I think Les Mis
miserable.
is terrible. There's Jeremy's hot take.
Okay, I'll put the music in for
Here, put the music in. Hey guys, Jeremy's hot takes. Les Mis sucks. Come at me, theater nerds.
I haven't seen it.
This has
I
been
can't think
Jeremy's
one way or
hot
the other.
takes. Which is shocking that you haven't seen it as the French musical theater guy, like of our group. That seems like it'd be right up your alley.
That, David Bowie's Labyrinth. There are
Yeah,
a lot
that
of
one
things
upsets
that
me.
I should love that I just haven't seen. You texted me this weekend or last weekend where you're like, you know what? Today's the day. Today's the day you watch Labyrinth.
Yeah.
And I saw it and I'm like, maybe. And then I got involved with Reginald. And I
Yeah. I was trying to push you to do it, and you did, and that's totally fine. I'm not going to ever tell you I can do your life. But Matt, did you say you also haven't seen David Bowie's Labyrinth?
That is correct.
Also, it's Jim Henson's Labyrinth, but David Bowie's in it. Both of you, how dare you? First of all. Second of all, oh my God, how dare you? It's such a good movie, and you would both love it.
Third of all, holy tangent,
I-
Batman.
Yeah, well, oh God. I forgot we were on a podcast.
We're recording. We're not just hanging out.
Yes. So Snyder Cut. It's going to be bad. Here's Jeremy's marking the day. It is February 16th. It's going to be bad. Come at me. Matt, what else we got?
Staying with the Snyder Cut just for
Oh God, it's going to be bad.
How would you like multiple flavors of Snyder Cut?
like they did
Oh,
with
no.
Logan.
What?
You know how Logan had its normal release and then they had the
Uh-huh.
black and white release.
The
of
noir
Logan?
version?
Yeah.
Mhm, that's the one.
Uh-huh.
Well,
Are they doing a Snyder Cut the Noir?
Wait till you hear the name of it.
Justice is Gray is coming.
No! No!
Like, you could have done Justice is Black and White.
It was right there.
You could have been in and out. But no, you got to have a contrived, edgy message to it.
It's Zack Snyder.
Could have also just called it Justice League Black and White, like Batman Black and White.
Or
Right. Which would have gotten the point across.
No. I mean, that too. But also, the DC Comics universe do the noir version of their books, which is all black and white. It's a thing that the DC universe does. Why not call it Justice League Noir? Why not use your own naming conventions? I'm angry now, and I would like to cancel this podcast if I've ever. What a bad
ahead.
idea that is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Why is that happening? God.
I think because I don't know if it's necessarily Zack Snyder's call at this point. I think that this is HBO going, we spent a boatload of money on this. How can we get double the
Mhm.
clicks? How can people watch this
Mhm.
twice? Put a filter over it, call it a
people
day.
aren't watching
done.
Game of Thrones anymore because we ruined it. So how can we get more
Yeah,
money?
that's the thing. Is like, how can we get the clicks to justify
Yeah.
this?
And then you look at like, oh, it worked well with Logan.
Yeah, it did because Logan was like,
A very different movie. A very different movie than what this is going for.
Yeah, cinematic masterpiece in my mind. I love that movie.
It's a great
In your
movie.
mind, in our
Yeah.
hearts.
So, but I
X23 on the scoreboard, X number 1 in our hearts.
but we'll move away from the Snyder Cut for this week.
Thank you, because my blood pressure is already high enough.
But we'll stay on something that's also coming out on March 18th that was just announced 5 hours
What
ago.
is it?
So IGN reported,
Yes.
for those who play the Avengers game still, which is like 100 people,
5 of you.
they do like an Avengers table just to kind of talk about updates, things like that. Today they announced that Hawkeye will be coming out as the playable character on March 18th, as well as the official PS5, Xbox Series XS upgrades, which is cool. That they're doing that. It's happening a lot sooner than I thought it was. I think a lot sooner than I know John thought it was. We were both thinking second half 2021. And it's also going to support cross-platform play, which I think is very interesting. So you'll be able to
Across PlayStation consoles and Xbox
so you'll be able to
consoles.
play with.
Well, that's
your
good because the
friends.
6 people who play the game then can play it together.
Exactly. You get it.
All 3 of us own that game.
All 3 of us on that game, I downloaded it, started playing it again, and go, oh, I didn't like this. I'm done now. And stopped playing it again.
I imagine it's more fun playing with friends, like Destiny is.
Oh, I'm sure. But I am out, man.
But then that goes with the problem of we can't party up through the game because you got to break and do your single player stuff, then find a party for one mission,
Yeah,
then break and do your single player stuff. It just didn't work.
Yeah, and for those reasons, I'm out.
yeah.
I'm Mark Cuban up in this. I'm done. I'm done with that game. And it's so sad because it should be for the 3 of us the best game of all time.
Yep.
Or one of them. But I'm out.
Or at least viewed as a very good, very fun game.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I quit Ultimate Alliance 3 after a while too, but I got some into Ultimate Alliance. I enjoyed Ultimate Alliance a heck of a lot more.
I don't think it's exactly a controversial opinion.
No,
What?
no.
Hot take alarm. That's right, man. Now you got to do 2 of them.
Moving on, we've talked about this during our DC's fandom event episode about Colin Farrell and his penguin makeup and how he is
Yeah. Doesn't look anything like Colin Farrell.
doesn't look anything.
Recognizable.
And it's not just to us, but
To the-
also other cast members. One of the extras on set
On set.
said that he had no idea it was Colin Farrell. He just thought it was a very confident, just extra, just person in the background. And only after seeing him leave did he realize, makeup. the
Boy, that
scars
ugly
are
guy was
there.
really front and center.
Sure looks like the description of the penguin. Oh my God, that's Colin Farrell.
Could you imagine being like an extra on set of something, being next to Colin Farrell, not knowing it's Colin Farrell, then walking away and going, oh my God, that was Colin Farrell, and just being like, well, there's your one chance. You're never
Right.
getting that again. You just walked away from Bullseye, dude.
Yeah, Marvel's Bullseye.
Or
And In Bruges.
Yes, I forgot that character's name.
Also, The Phone Booth.
that was a movie.
Also, he was in the Gentleman. He was really good in that.
The Gentleman. What's The Gentleman?
It was the Guy Ritchie film that I saw in theaters in
yeah.
2020.
He was also
Before The Unpleasantness.
he was also the disguise for Grindelwald in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them.
That's right. He was that guy.
He sure was. He has quite.
He
a
was
resume.
in a lot of good movies, and also he was Bullseye.
And Grindelwald.
and Grindelwald.
I liked the first one. I liked that first one.
It's fine.
Yeah, exactly. It's fine. It was a popcorn movie for me. I had a good time. I got more universe where there's magic and stuff, and no one's talking about transphobic things. I'm in.
Yeah, and you get to see a bunch of cool animals. I'm in.
Yeah, exactly. Was it needed? 100% no.
All right, and finally, seeing that this is all just going to be movie news this week, I didn't really have anything else.
What else can I complain
It
about?
is what it is.
But we are talking about the other movie that we've brought up probably on a weekly basis, which of course,
Ang Lee's
is-
Hulk?
Avengers: Age of Ultron.
no. Spider-Man
I
3.
don't know then.
Mutants.
The new Spider-Man 3. Not the other
Oh,
one.
yeah, I saw this.
Tom Holland has come out and said while he was on press tour for his new movie coming out called Cherry,
Yeah.
that as far as he's aware, Tobey Maguire, Andrew Garfield
So here's what's... Go ahead. So I'm sorry. Go ahead.
are not going to be in the new Spider-Man. And I have the direct quote from Tom himself
The direct quote's bananas.
saying,
Yeah, go ahead.
No, they will not be appearing in this film unless they have hidden this most massive piece of information from me, which I think is too big of a secret for them to keep from me. But as of yet, no. It'll be a continuation of the Spider-Man movies that we've been making.
So here's the thing, right? For those who may not be aware, Tom Holland, Spider-Man, has been given like 1/80th of a script because
He's given
this man
solely what he
leaks
needs to know.
This man leaks everything on accident because he is a child at heart and he is a freaking angel and everyone loves him, but he cannot, for the life of him, keep a secret. So it wouldn't shock me if they tried to keep this from him too. Now, obviously, you cannot keep this something of this magnitude from everybody, but all I can imagine is they go, yeah, Tom, that's great. Now, can you put this blindfold on for this next part of the scene? and these earphones? And we're not going to tell you who you're doing dialogue against.
We'll CGI both of those off. It'll look better than Superman and Justice League.
It would be so funny
If he found out, like, if like Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire were on the red carpet, and he's like, "What are you guys doing here?"
You guys are, hey, that's cool. You guys kind of support the movie. We're in the movie, Tom. We did scenes together. We did what?
Is this a Natalie Portman situation again?
Oh, goodness. Well done.
That's so funny. he turns to Kevin Feige. Hey, what the hell? Tom, you can't be trusted. This is ridiculous.
However, a lot of people are quick to say that seems, fishy because we've had these confirmed sightings of Jamie Foxx as Electro. Why can't
He didn't say Jamie Foxx wasn't coming back.
Yeah, it says on the link right there. It says that Jamie Foxx is for sure coming back.
No. Tom Holland didn't say
didn't
it.
say
yeah,
Jamie
no.
Foxx wasn't coming
No,
back.
I meant like people on the internet are thinking that maybe he's trying.
Wait a second. Are you telling me that the internet may have told us something that isn't true?
Or Tom Holland's trying to pull an Arkham Knight. You never know.
What if Tom Holland got really good at lying all of a sudden?
I mean, he is an actor.
Yeah, but we've established that he's a really bad liar.
Maybe he's acting a part as Tom Holland, but a good liar. Which, if that's the case, that's performance of the year right there.
What if we didn't find out, how did he say it? Did he say it in a British accent or did he say it in a Peter Parker accent? Because if he said it in a Peter Parker accent, he's acting. And maybe he's a really good actor to keep seeing. No, I just want to live under the assumption that they tricked him into acting next to Andrew Garfield.
Yeah, put a blindfold on him.
Oh, it'd be so funny. Oh my God, it'd be so funny. They prank Tom Holland with that.
But yeah, as the star of the movie said that they're not going to be in there, but
I believe it.
other confirmations of other characters showing up, people seem to think otherwise. But we'll see when the movie comes out, or if we get more news by then.
Well, that and like, for me, the fact that Marvel came out and said, "Hey, this third Spider-Man movie is going to come directly out of, like, it's directly connected to Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness." Like,
We also
Kinda
don't know. Maybe
believe
those
it.
two will show up in the Multiverse of Madness. Maybe they won't show up in the Spider-Man movie. Maybe they'll show up in that movie. Maybe they'll be at the. Maybe they will be the post-credit scene that he doesn't know it's going to happen, and then they will be in the next movie like for a half second. Because if you have just the villains from their movies, you're still establishing that the universes are
Yeah.
connected.
That the multiverse has been opened.
Yeah,
They also genuinely may not have scenes together.
Right.
which is always, especially with Tom, they might have done it.
Because like you could have it to where like Spider-Man, like Garfield's fighting Electro for like somehow he's back. Who's to say? And then he like bloops away into the Marvel universe, and then like Tom Holland stuff happens, and then Maguire is fighting off Dr. Octopus back in time during the plot of Spider-Man 2. Just let me have this. And then he kind of bloops away into the Marvel universe as well. Like, who knows?
Yeah, that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
It makes just as much sense as any of the other stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
We
out
don't know.
of-
We'll see. I'm excited.
Out of those shocking pieces of news.
Oh, Matt, that was bad. That was almost like you rubbed your feet against the carpet and you gave me a static shock.
Pull list.
That was a transition for the
Yeah.
pull list. Matt, just go ahead and just cut this out. Yeah. All right. Well, pull list.
Here's your pull list.
This week on the pull list. That's right, gentlemen. We're talking about Static Shock. Static Shock from the New 52, Volume 1, Supercharged. Not only is this Volume 1, it's the only volume from the New 52. This is written by Scott McDaniel and drawn by John Ozum. There's a definite chance I got that name wrong, and I apologize. I'm sorry. Yeah, he was the writer. And Mark Bernardin was writing on parts 7 and 8. And Scott McDaniel was our penciler, with Andy Owens, Jonathan Glapion, and Lebu Underwood as our inkers. Guy Major is our colorist. Desi Sinetti and Travis Lanham are our letterers. And let's get right into the book. Gentlemen, coming into this, what do you know about Static Shock? Or Static, as they call him in this book.
That he had a kid show. Like he had a cartoon series. That's literally all I knew. He was after my time.
My extent with Static was his short bit on Young Justice. Outside of that, I have never really had any sort of
The show?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know he was on that.
Yeah, he is. It's like when he first starts out, because he's not using these cool discs and stuff. He's riding around on a manhole cover and stuff like that.
Yeah, he did that in the Static Shock show too.
Yeah, but that was about the only bit of Static that I've had any experience with until this book.
Okay. I had really only ever watched the show, and I liked the show. The show actually was one of the first times I watched like racial injustice on TV, so that was pretty cool. It's a good show. I was not incredibly familiar, but I did know that I liked the character, so I was interested to see more. When I was younger and dumber, I thought Black Lightning was Static grown up because they both have the similar powers and the exact same color scheme. And I was like, oh, it's got to be him getting older, right? They're not. It's not the same character. I'm just an idiot. But Static Shock is a kid from Dakota. And they don't say which Dakota, they just say Dakota. So
It's okay. I like a little bit of mystery.
hey, you never know, right? And he has moved to New York, and a lot of information is kind of left up to you don't know it. But John, this is something that you've had taken issue with in the past. How did you feel that they did with this book and showing, not telling?
So what this book has taught me is that I can never be pleased, and that's fine.
Wait, that's just now being told to you?
Yeah, I learned it for myself. Other people have told me I can never be pleased,
Yeah, like for 6 years on a podcast.
but now I've discovered that I, in fact, can never be pleased. So, yes, they did an excellent job of showing, not telling. You jumped right into action. And I'm like, I'd love to know what's going on. Like, oh, is it weird he has two sisters? Because it kind of seems like it's weird, but then it kind of doesn't seem like it's weird. But then what's wrong with his sister? Which sister? What's going on? That was like 2 issues. Then like, but it kept going on and being cool stuff. And like, whose hard drive? Is hard drive like a person? I still don't know. Because I was too lazy to look it up. Then, but then after the main arc of this book, there's still more issues, and one of them is him sitting down with the guidance counselor, and in that you get a lot of exposition of where he's from, his past. You got to go into that in like the actual arc, but his past and what's going on, and then you get a lot of that exposition. But in the past, my critique has been like, you really shouldn't just start with that because it's boring and like we get it, you're a hero. But now I'm like, man, I wish I knew what all this stuff was, so I cannot be pleased.
Well, John, as long as you are aware of it for yourself, you know, that's half the battle. That's half the battle. The whole time I was reading, I didn't know anything about. I knew nothing about Static Shock.
Also,
about
make no mistake, I really enjoyed this book and came off very positive on it. But in the past, I've ranted on hero origin arcs specifically.
And this one didn't feel like an origin arc, but at the same time, we did get a lot of origin stuff. And I really enjoyed that. But the whole time I was reading, I didn't know what was going on. And I stayed in the dark for the most of it. I looked up some stuff, but not much. But all I could think of the whole time was, John's going to be so mad. They're not explaining anything quite yet. He's going to be so mad.
They didn't, but like, I also have asked to be shown and not told. So like,
yeah, I felt that they eventually
I literally
got
cannot be
to
pleased.
They eventually got to
it. It was good. But it was like
even
a good 2-3 issues of like, I don't know what anything is. It's neat.
Yes.
Neat stuff's happening. I don't know what it is.
Yes,
but it's cool.
Yes. They even got to his original comic book origin with his original comic book costume, which I thought was really cool. With the gun and stuff like that in Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was very cool. But let's just jump right into this. Or Matt, how did you feel about the way they opened and showed and didn't tell? Were you also like John, where you were complaining, or were you like, I'm here for the ride and we'll see what happens? I was.
I was here for
the
ride.
record, I wasn't audibly complaining.
No, but I know exactly what face you were making.
I was there for the ride. I went in knowing very little about Static, and it started. And I'm like, okay, let's go. Let's get into it. He's in New York. He's a sassy teenager in New York saving people. It sounds like something I've heard before, but I just can't put my finger.
Can't put my finger on it. Wish I had 8 legs to like walk through this web of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we'll never know.
Yeah, I guess not. But I enjoyed it. I enjoyed how they eventually sprinkle in bits of his and other characters' backstories throughout. I think that was interesting, and eventually gets to be like, oh, and just kind of all ties it up at the end. Like I totally understand the gripes of I have no idea what's going on. But I feel like sometimes really good stuff does happen with that. Like, for example, WandaVision, we started that first, episode or 2. I have no idea what's going on, but I like it.
Yes. I think the difference there is we have a basis, and this kind of felt like,
and this was
we had no idea.
Yeah, we were just kind of thrown in. But it was fun. Overall, it was a fun book. I had a good time.
I agree 100%. I think the plot was very light, but I think that the stuff that was plot was interesting, and I liked it.
I had not known this was the only trade from the New 52.
Yeah, this was canceled very quickly, unfortunately.
That is unfortunate.
Which stinks, because especially since Mark Bernardin, who I really respect. I mean, I respect everybody in this book. I thought the book was great, but Mark Bernardin, I just have a personal affinity for. And when I found out he did the last 2 issues, I was like, oh, cool. He's going to be the Static guy going forward. And I was like, oh, it's over. Dang it. That stinks, because I really like Mark Bernardin. But it is what it is. I'm sure that now that the Milestone stuff is owned by DC again, maybe they could do more Static. I mean, they're talking about the animated movie or the live action movie. I'd be down with more Static stuff,
Yeah.
especially with the society we're living in right now that, actually treats, black superheroes like they matter, because they do.
Yeah.
What a concept, I know.
Yeah, like they.
We've come a long way from Steel.
Yeah, like Static. Had
Oh
his
my
own-
God.
Static had his own little panel and fandom and everything. So,
Yeah, fandom. Phil Lamar was the voice of Static in the show, and my
Voice
God, I would-
acting
please
legend,
bring him.
Phil
Please
Lamar.
bring him back to do the show or the movie, man.
that'd be great.
Please bring him back to.
If
do
it's
the movie.
animated, yes. If it's live action, I
Oh, yeah, of
genuinely
course
think
not.
he's too old to be
No, yes,
Static.
yes. But for the if they do an animated show, please. Well, if they do a live action show or movie, he needs to make a cameo.
Yeah.
Yeah,
like for sure.
father,
Like, I want to see
mentor
that.
figure. There's a
Just
lot.
guy on the
there's a
street
lot
who
you
goes,
can do.
"Hey, kid, watch it." Like that. That's all I need.
When I was your age, something like that.
Yeah. Oh, wearing the original shirt that was given him that they don't make anymore. That would be awesome. So let's jump right into the book. So the book opens up with Static zipping around New York, trying to stop this thing that we don't know what it is. And the entire book, he's got an inner monologue. And his inner monologue is Batman if Batman had a personality. And I really like it. He's quippy. He's quippy like Spider-Man, but not as good at it. But he's blissfully unaware that he's not that good at it because he's a high schooler.
Yeah.
And I really like that.
He's also very intelligent and analytical and trying to figure out what's going on, which is not necessarily Spider-Man. Spider-Man is, well, let's hope we'll get through it and not die.
Yes. Virgil is much more intelligent. His name is Virgil
Ovid.
Ovid, yeah. So
Which
his
is-
name is Virgil Ovid. Like, oh my God. Could you
I
have
know.
a smarter sounding name? Could you have a smarter sounding name? He is chasing after this creature thingy, which we find out is a man in a suit that stole this suit from Star Labs. Yes, that Star Labs where Virgil works. Virgil chasing this guy down eventually stops him using his amazing analytical thinking. And the creature that he's taking down is plasma, and the lightning that he shoots out of his body or is able to control it like goes around the plasma. It can't get through the plasma because I guess that's how plasma works. I don't know. I'm not a doctor.
I had a plasma TV.
Well, there we go. Apparently electricity can't go into it. I don't know. So he takes the creature thingy and he grounds it against the bridge in New York, the Manhattan Bridge, or the George Washington Bridge. It's the Greensboro Bridge. Queensboro? Did I say that right? Does that sound right?
Yes.
I don't know. We're not New Yorkers.
It does sound.
It was a
Queensboro Bridge. Doing that shorts out the suit, and the guy in the suit crashes down and is like, they're going to get me. And Static's like, what are you talking about with all his cocky swagger? And you're just going to go to jail, blah, blah, blah. And the guy gets shot like 6 times. And the bullets don't hit Static because Static obviously uses his electricity to constantly have a field around him where bullets deflect off of him. Obviously. And he's like, I should track that. I can track the kinetic force from the bullets and see who did that. And as he's trying to do that, he uses it like what's that vision? Not thermal. That's not the word I'm looking for. Like ultraviolet. He's like ultraviolet vision because he can control and manipulate electromagnetic force. Apparently. Again, don't know any of his powers. So I'm just like, yes, that sounds great. You do that, buddy. I believe in you. He follows the kinetic force of the bullets, but as the sun is setting, it's too bright for him to see. So he can no longer follow the ultraviolet. So he loses the trail. But if he had followed the trail, he would have seen these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 not Power Ranger looking guys, but like they're Power Rangers.
Yeah, they're
They're like bad guy Power
cool
Rangers.
bikes.
They each have their own separate color. Like that's kind of Power Ranger.
And cool bike.
Yeah, cool hover
Maglev bikes. Magnetic levitating bikes. Which is like a thing too. That's like how the bullet train in Japan or wherever works. So like it's kind of cool to see the people who wrote this book, I'm sure had to actually look up some, or maybe they already knew it. Maybe they have a background in science. But like the stuff in this book doesn't check out 100%, but it does have basis in real scientific fact, which is kind of cool. You don't always see that. Sometimes it's like Batman's like, I can do this thing. And it's like, if your arm would rip off, Batman, that won't work. But here, as much as it suspends disbelief in science, it does have a base. It's true science fiction, which is cool. I haven't seen that too often in a comic book, and I like when they do that. Virgil flies away because he doesn't want to get in trouble with the cops for murder or whatever, because the cops, I don't know if you guys know this, but a young black man at the scene of a crime in the past has been targeted by police. That's all I'm saying.
Well, I'm glad that's no longer a thing.
Right. Yes, of course. It's never not a... anyway, escape is fiction, right? So he flies away and he gets a little communique from his buddy Hardware. And I did look this up. Hardware is one of the Milestone heroes. He was a good guy the whole time, but he did some bad guy stuff for vengeance. But he turned around and he's become kind of a mentor to Static in the interim, which is cool.
Like, is he a person? Is he an AI?
He's a person. No, he's a person.
Okay.
At this point,
Cool.
though,
He is a
I
person.
Because
thought
I just
he
was not very sure.
Yeah, at the beginning,
Yes.
up until when he actually shows up, I thought for sure he was just like a robot or something.
His buddy Dobie, I believe, is a robot. The lady.
Dobby's actually a house elf.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. Dobie? Qdoba? No. So Hardware tells him, hey, get home safe. Your parents are probably worried about you because, the place where you work was attacked and they're not going to be sure. So he's like, oh, okay, yeah, I'll go home. He goes home, and as he's going home, the not Power Rangers go and meet up with the bad guys, and all the bad guys are there. All the bad guys. Undercover cop number 1, guy who looks like a piranha, Asian guy, and not the Joker.
and
He
lady
gets really upset when you call him the Joker.
and lady who works for the district attorney's office.
Oh my God. Corruption in New York City? I would have never believed it.
Well, I never.
And the people there are like, so what? How did the suit that I was stealing get taken down? This is the piranha guy whose name is, get ready for this, Piranha.
What?
Whoa.
Up there
Whoa.
with King Shark, Killer Croc. Like he
And Batman.
Man Bat.
Oh, my bad. Right. It's like, this person took down the thing that I was doing. They foiled my villain plan. And the not Power Rangers are like, we understand. This is a guy named Static. He's from Dakota. And they're like, we got to stop this guy. He's doing the bad stuff. But how are we going to do it? Well, and then the guy who works for the district attorney is like, well, I've got an idea. We can use this guy that I have called Virule. And Virule is a living virus. And Viral's like, yes, I must kill Static. End issue. Or not end issue, but almost end issue. That would have been a very good little bookend. Anyway,
Yeah, but you
Virgil back home, not knowing that any of this is happening. Virgil lives in Harlem. Boy, a young black superhero who lives in Harlem and is kind of quippy and very intelligent and goes to a high school for really intelligent kids. Boy, this feels
Unique and new.
somehow familiar,
it's
but I can't put my finger
almost
on it.
like it's miles ahead of us.
Miles ahead of us. Yes.
Mhm.
I would agree. My friend Mr. Morales had an idea, but I'll have to talk about that later. And in a scene that I thought, there's no way this is important, boy, howdy, was I wrong.
Yeah, you were.
Happens. So Virgil's at home with his mom and dad and his 2 sisters who are the same person, which is very strange. And he's complaining that his brand new high school ID has the nerdiest picture of him. Oh, man. And his mom's like, no, you didn't send in your picture, so I asked your sister to do it because you were dragging your feet. And I like that picture. That other picture that you were trying to send in made you look mean and broody. You're like, it made me look cool, though. Because nothing sounds like cool, like you whining to your mom about your picture.
Yeah, on your school ID.
Oh, and they put my middle name in there? Oh, it's so angsty. He's whining. He's whining. He's like, I want to get my license, Dad. How does that sound? He goes, no. That makes no sense. You live in New York. Why would you have a car and a license? That's very stupid. I don't even have a car, and I'm the dad of this house. You're not getting a license. And Virgil's like, ugh. Which, that makes the most sense out of anything I've ever heard in a comic book. No, you live in New York. You don't need a license.
Yep.
He then goes and does his school stuff, and after school, he goes right to Wright Tools, WRIGHT Tools. And apparently, this is where Hardware has set up with him. Hardware must be the owner of Wright Tools. And as Virgil walks in, everyone's kind of giving him side eye. Who's this kid? We don't trust this kid. He goes up into the administrative office, which is where Static has his hideout. This is his hideout, his bat cave, his Static cave. And he talks to Hardware, and he's like, "Hey, Hardware, why is everyone looking at me weird?" And he goes, "Oh, yeah, so I told them you were a juvenile delinquent criminal? Yikes. But it's easier that way because then no one wants to talk to you." And he's like, "Oh, cool. Thank you. That's awesome."
Yeah.
Mhm.
But to be fair, for Virgil, he says, "You know what? If that'll get me the gear and the hideout, I'll live. I'll make do." And he does make do. And he goes out on patrol, and he sees those dang hooligans on their magnetic levitating bikes.
Go, Power
He's going to take him
Rangers.
down. And he's going to take him down. And as he's trying to take him down, he gets shot, and his arm is severed from his body. Like, literally, that's what
Yep,
happens.
and that's how the issue ends.
And the issue ends. We cut into the next issue with his arm currently being severed by the sharpest blade ever in history. Turns out Viral shot him from across the city, and his arm was separated, but using his own electromagnetic powers and his floating discs, he's able to construct a quick cast. But this has really drained his powers. He confronts Viral. Viral's like, your abilities have fried my weapons, but I'm going to come for you. And Virgil's like, yeah, you better run because I'm super charged up. And as soon as Viral's gone, he's like, thank God that fight didn't happen because I am not charged up. I am like running on empty. I need to get some rest. The kids, the Power Rangers, who are actually called the Slaters.
Yeah, the Slater gang.
The Slater gang, and their logo is like a biohazard symbol. They talk to the villains of this world, which are Mr. Young, Piranha, Marco, Stone, and Mr. White. And they're telling me, hey, we didn't kill Static, but, we're gonna. And they're like, you guys better. We're the bad guys. You better do that. And they're like, yeah, we will. Exposition. Meanwhile, Virgil returns to his hideout at Static. He calls it Static headquarters. And he's like, oh, my arm is healed. And he gets a quick scan, and the scan's like, yeah, no, you have a hairline fracture. He's like, how is it a hair? My arm was severed from my body. How do I only have a hairline fracture?
Just but a scratch.
Turns out his abilities are improving at a dramatic pace. He's able to heal himself, which apparently is something he's never done before. He's just overall taking a lot less damage. He equates himself to Superman. It's like, there's only certain things that can hurt me. I don't get this. And he takes a look at the weapon that was used to hurt him, and it was so sharp that even at like 1,000,000 times magnification, he can't find the edge. It's that sharp. And he thinks, well, maybe because it was so sharp, it made such a clean cut, and my electric powers fused my arms back together. That's the only thing I can think of. He's like, I should call my friend back in Dakota, but she wouldn't understand. Angsty teen stuff.
She would just tell me to stop.
But I love her. Piranha's mad. He's like, oh, those dang kids won't get me my Static. I want my Static. The two twins at home who are not twins, they are apparently the same person that was split. This all happened before the book. We don't know exactly what happened. They are having nightmares because they can't figure out what's going on with them, but they feel like they're the exact same person, but they feel the other one is an imposter of it's all very confusing. Virgil goes to school and sees a bunch of very attractive ladies. And he's like, what's up, ladies? I'm also attractive. And they're like, yeah, you are. And he's loving it. And then he sees a guy at school with the exact same logo as the Slater gang tattooed on his arm. And he's like, oh, hey, are you in a gang? And the guy's like, yes, I am in a gang. Are you in a gang? And he's like, oh, I'm also in a gang. It's a very simple conversation.
He's also
just
flaunting it super hard.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, it's my gang tattoo. It's like no big deal.
They're also the only two black kids or black gentlemen that I see in the shots here. There's one other guy, but like it's a pretty white building. It looks like. So, you know, maybe they're using that as like, we should be friends. I don't know. But I was like, okay, like, I guess I could just walk up to someone and go, are you in a gang? And they'd go, oh, yes. Would you like to join my gang? And I go, oh, gangs. Yes. Wonderful. I don't know. I've never been in a gang. Hey, man, I don't know. Maybe they need like a old timey prospector. I think all gangs need an old timey prospector, right? I have a monocle. I'm just saying we don't know until I try.
You're absolutely right.
That is correct.
There's only one way to find out. We have to get you out there.
I gotta get into a gang. In this episode, Jeremy joins a gang. Episode 2, Jeremy's in the hospital. But not because of the gang, because he tripped and fell down the stairs.
And then the
Anyway,
gang kicked him out.
and the gang's like, "Nah, man, you're just the worst." And I go, "Indubitably." Yes, business. So Virgil now has like a potential contact for that gang. He's like, "Oh, maybe you could." That's the Slater gang, right? He's like, "Yeah, the Slater gang. I'm in the Slater gang." Like, oh yeah, let's talk later. That sounds great. Later after school, he goes on patrol again, meets up with the Slaters, starts to take them down when Virul and him come in contact and start fist fighting. And when Virgil makes contact with Virul starts to duplicate. He starts to literally. Well, that's actually the issue ends with him about to be murdered. In the next issue, he starts to duplicate after touching Virgil. His powers have supercharged Virul, and it's very strange. And Virul doesn't understand what's going on. And there's some changes in Virul's body that he just can't understand. And it's natural, Virul. It happens to all of us. Virgil escapes because the police are there, and he's able to subdue the criminals long enough that the police come, and then the criminals get away, and he gets away because he doesn't want to get yelled at by the cops. And he gets home, and it's like 2 a.m., and he sees his sister, and his sister's like, "Hey, so you know how there's 2 of me?" And he's like, "Yeah." And she's like, "I'm the real me." And he's like, "Okay." And the other one's like, "No, I'm the real me." And he's like, "Okay." What's happening?
Right.
We will. Trust me, dear readers. We will find out what is happening at some point.
That's how the second one's like, she's lying. I'm the real one.
I'm like, I don't know what's happening.
I just want to go to bed at this point.
It's 2 a.m. Why are you both up? Oh, you do the same thing. Oh, you guys do the same thing.
And the first one was watching a movie about clones. And
Yes, the line of dialogue is like, "No, he's the clone. I'm the real one."
Static's like, "Is this really the best movie you should be watching right now?"
And she's like, "Shut up. I like this movie." Next day, he goes back to school and he sees the gangbanger guy because he says, "Oh, did you bang?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, I bang. I'm in a gang." I don't know gang terms, guys. I'm very uncool. I don't know if that's been apparent, dear
It's
listener.
okay.
But I am the opposite of a gang person.
Also, when he said, "Are you banging?" I wasn't sure what that was, but there were some suspiciously lusty drawings of high school girls in this comic, so I don't know exactly the direction they were going.
I will say I'm very proud to say that I knew that exactly what he was talking about. That was, are you in a gang or do you run with a gang? I knew it. Man, God, I can't sound any less cool than trying to describe this. Let me turn my chair backwards and we can rap, kids.
Hey,
oh my God, I don't
he's
like
taken,
myself.
listeners.
So,
Oh God, I don't like
you
myself.
want to join a gang? Cue Captain
So.
America.
Yeah, but somehow even less cool. Because I'm not that handsome. I mean, I'm good looking. Don't get me wrong. I'm great, but I'm not Chris Evans. Back to the story. He meets up with that gangbanger again, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I used to do a stuff." And he's like, "Yeah, where are you from?" He's like, "Dakota." He's like, "There's nothing in Dakota." And everyone who's reading is like, "No, I agree. There's nothing in Dakota." And he's like, "Oh yeah, well, I was at the Big Bang," and they're like, "Whoa, okay, we've heard of that." And the Big Bang is where Virgil got his powers. The Big Bang is a catastrophic event. They actually call it a cosmological event in the Milestone /DC universe. He's like, "Oh, so you were there? What kind of weapon did you use?" He's like, "I used a 38 snub nose." And I was like, "Well, that's a pretty specific reference to pull out of nowhere." Turns out, we'll find out later, That's exactly what he did at that exact event.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy's like, okay, you're cool. Come with me to the gang place tonight. And Virgil's like, okay, I will come to you and we will go to the gang place.
And at which point I'm just like, man, he must be pretty high up there in this gang to just bring people without any kind of
without
turns
any
out.
sort of.
You.
It turns out he's not. They get to gang place and gang place is like, you can't come in here. We don't want you in here. And they're both like, but the gang. And then Virgil uses a distraction with the drunk guy to turn into Static really quick, fly up, and attack the Slater gang. He stealthily pulls one of the Slater gang out and takes them out and is going to use them for information. At the same time, Piranha and not the Joker, whose name is the Pale Man.
The Pale
Yep.
Man.
And the Pale Man, I was like, who's the Pale Man?
I thought for sure at first it was the Joker because like he started laughing and stuff, and I was like, huh.
Yeah, so you'll find out later in a throwaway scene. He is a Joker-fied cop
Yeah, he got hit.
who
with
is
the-
undercover.
Yeah, he got hit with the Joker toxin. One of the many
At a parade.
times, yeah, Joker has used it, and yeah,
So he is Joker-fied, and he's a cop undercover in Piranha's gang to find information. That's the whole purpose of him. So in finding information, they meet up with a sleazy guy who has a really bad mullet, because like I feel like all sleazy guys have mullets or something similar to a mullet. And they're like, here is your sleazy money. And he's like, oh, thank you for the sleazy money. I will give you the sleazy items now. And they're like, good. And they fight a little bit. He's like, oh, we're bad guys. Then we go to the top of the Empire State Building, and the Slater gang member that Static abducted wakes up, and she's just sitting on the top of the Empire State Building, like hanging there. And he's like, oh, hey, you're awake. And she's like, what's going on? He's like, that's great. I can't hack through the encryption on your tablet, which has all the bad guy information on it. So here's what's going to happen. You're going to call all your bad guy friends, except for the big guy. I don't want the big guy to show up because he scares me. And we're all going to meet up, and we're all going to have a discussion at the docks. Okay, sound good? Great. Fantastic. And she's like, okay, everyone come to the dock except for the big guy. Back at the bad guy headquarters, they're like, hey, they all called us except for the big guy. And the big guy's like, no, I need to go there because when I touch the Static Man, I feel the need to reproduce. And I'm like, buddy, listen, I understand that you're trying to, not reproduce, replicate. I understand you're trying to replicate, but you can't just say that out loud. It's inappropriate. There's company around. And he's like, oh, I want to go and do the thing. So they're all like, oh, let's go fight the Static Man. So they all go, even though Static said don't send the big guy. And as soon as the big guy shows up, the Slater gang gets away. And the tablet that he had breaks. It fries itself because Mission Impossible, he says.
Yeah, it's like,
They're fighting.
You've seen Mission Impossible as well.
Yeah.
Touche.
They're fighting. Static is able to pull all of the energy from a nearby power plant and reduce... God, what's his name? It's not Virus. What is his name again?
If I rule, like Ja Rule,
God.
only one fewer.
It's
festival.
murder. What? He turns Virule into like sand. Like he disintegrates his body. And like, cool. Static's gonna get away. Nope. A very strange lady made of steel grabs him and ends the issue. And I was like, wait, what? Next issue opens up and he's fighting a lady who has razor blade hair and is made of steel, coated in oil. And you're like, what is this from? Well, it turns out that little arms deal that happened between not the Joker and the sleazebag was to get this genetic goo. And this genetic goo can change people into monsters, basically. And Piranha wants to use that to create an army. So this is their first one that's worked. And there was like 5 or 6 guys that it didn't work on who are just like heaps of muscle and flesh and bone. And it's gross, really gross. But she, whose name is...
Guillotina.
Thank you. Guillotina. Guillotina is the first one to work, and she fights Static, and Static is able to subdue her, but she gets away somehow. And he's like, oh, that's weird. Turns out she's gotten away by a man who is living in the 5th dimension,
4th.
who's like a ghost. 4th. Sorry.
It's not that off the rails.
I know. It's comics. This guy is like a purple ghost creature, and he is trapped in the fourth dimension, and it takes him a lot of physical energy to manifest in our dimension, but he's losing the ability to do so. It's getting harder and harder. It's like, hey, listen, Guillotina, you have to make sure that Piranha's guys win, because if they do, I can use their end game to restore my human body. And she's like, okay. Static calls his friend in Dakota, and she's like, I believe in you. He's like, but I don't believe in myself. He's like, but I believe in you. Give him a little hype up speech. It's great. We do see the brief origins of a couple of different things. We see the main bad guy at Star Labs is meeting with the Hawkins, and we don't know he's the main bad guy, but like we know he's the main bad guy.
Oh man! As soon as he was like, "We're not going to let privacy protocols stop us from doing what needs to be done," I'm like, you know what? You're the bad guy. I
Bad
don't
guy.
care.
That's the bad
I
guy.
do not care.
And he's meeting with the two girls who are the same girl, and the Hawkinses, and he's like, don't worry, we'll solve this. And you're like, huh, that's suspicious. Back at Piranha's lair, the undercover Joker, not Joker, and Piranha have a bunch of people in cages, and they have some more of that genetic goop. And the Piranha's like, yes, pour all of that genetic goop onto all of these people. The ones who live will become my slave monsters, and the ones who die are dead. And it's like, oh, that's really dark. They do that, though. And they get some villains out of it. They get a guy whose like bones are sticking out of his body, but he's massive. They get like a devil boy. They get a guy who just is a gun. They get a guy covered in eyeballs. They get a guy covered in rubber. They get a guy covered in cement and rebar. It's really messed up. But they use these creatures to fight Static Shock, who Static just happens to show up. Isn't that crazy? He beats up these guys until he's unable to beat up two of them in particular, the cement and rubber guy, who those two substances don't conduct electricity, so he can't fight them. They drag him underwater, and it looks like the end of Static at the end of this issue. But then the next issue happens, and he's okay because he's able to hold his breath for long enough. And then he says a bunch of really smart science stuff. Did either of you understand this? Because I was very tired, and I didn't.
I was also tired, so no.
Matt, last chance.
I wasn't tired, but
But all of us are very dumb.
I didn't understand it. So,
Okay, good. So it's not just
at least between the three of us last night, one of us got a good night's sleep. That I call a win. It is the small victories here, folks.
round of applause. Anyway, he does a smart sciencey thing and breaks out. And in the context, it makes sense. I just can't explain it to you as a listener because I don't know how to explain it.
My mind
But
just
it
went,
makes sense.
comic booky. I'm sure
He does
knows.
a thing.
He
He gets
seems
out.
very confident that he knows what's happening. So, okay, it's good.
If he was explaining it to you, you'd go, oh, yes, I know some of these words.
These are words I've heard before.
Ah, yes.
Can you take it
He gets
from
out.
the-
Well, go ahead, John.
No, I was going to say, like, he explaining it, me not catching on. Can you take it from the...
You lost me at the beginning. He comes out, and there's like a guy who's like, it's like, hey, I don't want to fight, man. I was just told. He's like made of goo. He's like, I was just told to wait until you were dead, until I saw your body. And he's like, yeah, you see my body. Call your boss. And he does. And the boss is like, I did it. I have killed the Static Shock. And there was a creature, a man made of blue electricity who helped end this fight. And you're like, hey, who's that guy? He must have been one of the bad guys. That's crazy. So Piranha is talking to the main bad guy who we haven't seen up to this point. And he's like, I did it. I did the thing. I killed Static. Now you're going to give me the security contract for your building, right? Because apparently that was Piranha's entire thing. And the guy says, yes, I will. For I am the doctor from Star Labs? What?
Who would have thunk it?
Not I. Although he does disagree with privacy rules, which, like, as a physician, should be like the main thing you don't disregard.
Next thing
Right.
you're going to tell me is that a gentleman in a comic named Mr. Nice is the bad guy. I don't buy it.
I
I
refuse
refuse to believe it.
to tell you that. So we find out that this guy's the bad guy, the guy at Star Labs. And he's like, yes, you, Piranha, now have security over my building, and I will pay you So bring your people to me. And Piranha's like, I will do that, for I am the Piranha, and I am so evil. We then get a backstory dream flashback where we see Virgil's origin story. He's getting the ever-loving tar kicked out of him by the worst written bully ever. I'm going to read you some of the dialogue from this bully. A dramatic reading. Ready? Here we go. That's biz money, B, with a B. But for you, I'm a butt-kicking Z. And the money, so much money, and it's all in your face. If you mess my name up again, you'll be crying blank disgrace.
We will.
This has been a dramatic reading. The important thing is Virgil's getting his butt kicked by this guy who's much bigger than him. And it's because he's a lover, not a fighter. And a lot of people tell him this to his face, including the girl that he's very interested in. And he's like, oh, man. And then another guy's like, hey, here's the deal. Get a gun. I'll get you a gun if you want one. And Virgil says, yeah, give me a gun. So he gets a 38 snub nose and he goes to the place where he said he was at. And he goes to kill his bully. But he realizes that's wrong and he can't do it. But at that same time, a riot breaks out and a bad guy happens, and that's how he gets the static electricity powers. So that's his origin. I was like, oh, cool. Now I know that. I didn't know that. That's neat. He wakes up from this and is electrocuted by that blue thing, and they steal his sister.
But only one of them.
Only one of them. And they take the one sister, Guillotina, Piranha, all those bad guys. And Piranha meets up with the Slater guys like, you guys couldn't kill Static and you badmouthed me, so I'm going to beat you up. And the Slater guy's like, you can't beat us up. You're the bad guy. And he's like, yeah, I'm the bad guy. There's a little scuffle between the villains because there had to be one. And during the scuffle, Guillotina turns to Shannon, who is the sister, and says, hey, don't be upset. Don't worry. I'm going to help you get out of this because as much as I look like a bad guy, I really am not. I have been 100% taken advantage of, and I understand your position. So please understand that I'm here to try to help you, which calms Shannon down a lot. At home, Virgil's like, I have to go after my sister. I have to go out and try to find her. His parents don't know he's Static yet. He's like, I'm going to go canvass the neighborhood. I'll be back. And he turns into Static, and he flies off to look for his sister. The cops show up and start fighting with the bad guys. The bad guys take out the cops, including the undercover cop who's like mad that the cops aren't letting him do his job. It's a thing. Does it really matter? No. Virgil goes to the gang of bad guys and is like, where are the drugs going? He gets some information, finds out where they're taking his sister, and he calls his buddy Hard Drive. He's like, hey, you got to get to New York as soon as humanly possible. The people who screwed with Shannon and Dakota found her and they got her again. How he knows this, I don't know. But I believe him because, like John said, he said it confidently, so I believe him.
He's much smarter than I am. So,
without a doubt, he's smarter than all three of us put together. Hard Drive's like, yes, I'll meet you there. Be safe. The cavalry's coming. He tracks them down to a garbage barge terminal facility, finds out that this garbage barge is how they were sneaking around the city in plain sight. The bad guys go to Star Labs and are like, hey, we did the thing. We're here. And they're like, yes, you're at Dark Star, because apparently that's the code name for the bad guys. I don't know, but it's okay. It doesn't affect the story to know that or not know that. They're all at the bad place. And they're like, yes, good. You brought Shannon here. This is good. And she's like, hey, I know you, bad guy. You're the one who made me into two people. And he's like, yes, I did. I'm the bad guy. At that same moment, Hardware and his best friend, Technique, show up. What are you doing?
Definitely
he
not.
said I'm the bad guy.
Duh.
Oh.
Duh. We have fun.
We do here. Hardware and Technique, who are very similarly dressed characters from the Milestone universe, show up, and they are Static's mentors. they're like, we're going to help you take them down. So they all go into Star Labs to fight, and the big ending fight happens because we're at the ending set piece now for this story arc. They all fight. Lots of stuff happens. Blooms, explosions. It's pretty cool. At this moment, Guillotina turns on the bad guys and starts to help Shannon to get out of here. And during this big fight, the blue guy is like, stop. I'm here to help. He says that Davidson, which is the main bad guy, is like, he's the bad guy. He's the kidnapper. The man who took out this and did this to the Hawkinses and did this from Dakota, blah, blah, blah. And starts recounting things from Virgil's life. Virgil's like, yeah, how do you know this? Turns out this blue guy is also Static from a different universe. From a different universe. Just like Shannon, this is the same thing. The Shannon is two Shannons from different universes. This is two Statics. He's like, I followed my sister. I followed the other Shannon here, essentially, and I'm here to help you because this is all bad. I infiltrated the bad guys, and I was doing this so I could see their plan so that it would never come to fruition because I can't let this happen. Static's like, great, we can take them down together. And with this new revelation, they do. He rescues his sister. Guillotina is rehabilitated. Hardwire is like, hey, Hard Drive is like, hey, I'll take Guillotina and I will bring her to a school for people like her. Not Xavier School for mutants, but like wink. And we can rehabilitate her and we can help her. And she's like, thank you, I want to be helped. Shannon reunites with Virgil. They all go home. And at this point, the two Shannons kind of reconcile that they know they've been at odds the entire book. Like, I'm the real one. No, I'm the real one. No, I'm the real one. So then the other one says, listen, when I saw what happened to Static, I knew that he understood my pain. And just because we both are here doesn't mean we both can't coexist. So I would like to be called my middle name from now on, Cassandra, so that we can be sisters rather than enemies, trying to inhabit the same body. I was like, oh, that's so nice.
And then they were
They
like,
talk about how
what a
cute
nice
that Static
yeah,
is.
they were like,
And I'm like,
is
this
Which is
super
weird.
awkward.
Yeah.
There's a lot of choices in this book. Like, you didn't have to do that
yeah.
specifically.
No, I agree. The last two issues written by Mark Bernardin are basically slice of life episodes where Static brings his sisters to figure out which one's the real one by using quantum dating at Star Labs. During this, a bad guy steals some stuff and destroys the entire place, all of Star Labs, preventing the test from happening. Static stops him, saves the day, and the sister's like, you know what? Just because we couldn't figure out the test doesn't mean we didn't find something out. Because during the test, when the bad guy was blowing up the place, we both reacted differently, which made us both realize that we are two different people. Because we didn't do the same thing. We didn't react exactly the same. Ergo, we're different people, and we're comfortable with that. I'll be Cassandra, she'll be Shannon. And that makes them happy. The very last issue starts with a girl who was very severely bullied. And she has these powers to like take over any technology. She takes her bullies on a train and tries to crash the train into a volcano in the middle of New York. Because there's a volcano in New York.
hey, they think,
Thanks, Adam,
yeah.
man.
thanks,
Captain Adam. Unreal. Virgil stops this and he goes and meets the school psychologist. The school psychologist is the exposition dump. We find out all about Virgil. He grew up in a nice house. He was a nerd. He was beaten up. He got the gun, was going to go kill his bully, realized that it was wrong, became Static, lived his whole life as Static, and has now moved here. The psychologist thinks that he's being either he's in a gang, he's doing drugs, or he's being physically abused at home. He says, well, that's not true, any of those things. And she says, well, you came in here rubbing your elbow earlier because he was Static earlier and he got hurt on his elbow. Let me see your elbow. Let me see if you're bruised from your parents. He says, fine. And he shows her. And since he's rapidly healing, there's no bruise. And she's like, but. And he's like, see, I told you. I'm living. I'm fine. I'm comfortable. I'm happy. Get out of my life. And he runs off with his friends. And that's the ending of Static Shock and the New 52. Now, I like that last issue a lot for a couple reasons. One, it's a little bit of an exposition dump, but it like kind of gives all of us explaining, here's Static and here's who he is. blah, blah, blah. But also it showed that the school psychologist assumed that he was living a bad life because of all these things. And I'm not saying that I know this for sure, but I can imagine that a young person of color would get targeted much easier for that kind of speculation rather than a white child. And I like that they put that in the book as like a quote unquote well-meaning adult is assuming something that they don't actually know because they never actually talk to the student. And the first time they do talk to the student, they tell the student that, well, everything you just told me was wrong because I think this, because the person of color's voice matters less than what the person already thinks. I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting commentary. I like that. I like that a lot. But overall, this book was really good. I really enjoyed it. What did you guys think?
Fun.
I just did a ton of talking.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I liked it a lot. My take on the end was that, like, I'm sure in many cases, a child wanted to protect their parents even if they were being abused. So
yes,
that's
that's the
my
other side
take
of
on
that coin too.
But yeah, to go back to the book overall, I really did enjoy it. It's kind of a shame that it got canceled so early.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I liked it. I liked where they ended. I'm like, oh man, I wonder what their next adventure is going to be. And then we didn't get it because the main adventure with the doctor and the piranha, like, it had a lot of stuff going on. It was all balanced very well and paced super well to where it ended. I'm like, man, there's like 3 more issues, but they did so much.
Yeah.
How are there 3 more issues?
And like in that, like you saw that they were clearly gonna ramp up to something else after the viral fight because you see his dust begin to form like this creepy, decrepit arm.
Right.
Right.
You get the hand.
Yeah. So you're thinking, okay, he's gonna replicate. Static's gonna have to fight a bunch of weird virus monsters, but unfortunately that didn't happen. The last issue was important, I think. From the issues that you guys have discussed, and then it also starts with the issue of mental health too, with this girl who was, bullied and picked on to the point where she couldn't even be herself, where her parents made her feel like she was a monster because she was gay, and they talked about that, and she just figured that she was gonna end her life and take her bullies with her. And that's, I'm glad that Static was able to talk her way out of it and show her that, there's always a better way. And then, Static, of course, lies to the bullies and says that he's made them sterile for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
Yes, that was funny. I forgot about that. That was very funny. He didn't actually. Yeah, he did. It's a lie. He didn't actually sterilize these boys, but he does tell them that, which is funny.
Just to freak them out. But overall, I really enjoyed it. It was very fun. The quippiness was wonderful. It was goofy. Clearly, he was very smart. He knew stuff that I was like, sure, you didn't have to explain it to me, comic book guy, but I appreciate it. I still don't understand it. But it was fun. It was a fun book. It was a fun
book.
Story. And yeah, like we said at the beginning, you kind of don't have an idea what's going on, and then they eventually explain it, and you're like, okay, now I get it. Now I understand. Yeah, it was good. It was a good book.
Yeah, and John, I like what you said about the ending with that. Like, there's that other side of that coin where kids would obviously, people want to protect the people that they think they love if there actually is abuse. Because I unfortunately have seen that firsthand. But both of those things, what you and I both said makes a lot of sense. I think both those are very valid and interesting ways to look at that. And I like when we both have different perspectives on things. I think it's cool to see different perspectives on things. And I like this book. I think this book opened up a lot of perspectives to people. It's unfortunate that it was canceled so soon because it was good. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
It was a good book.
Yeah, me too.
I really enjoyed it. All right, gentlemen. What a fun little agreement podcast we just had where we just agree on everything. That's great. Let's talk about what we're going to do next week and hopefully agree on that in the outro. is the podcast this week, gentlemen. Fun times. Finally got to read some static.
Yeah.
A great way to end Black History Month with a great book created by and starring creators and people of color. I thought that was awesome. What'd you guys think?
It's good.
I liked it a lot.
What would you rate it out of 10?
Probably a 7 because I felt the first arc was very well done, and the other issues were there and didn't really pace well at all.
Yeah, because it was canceled.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard. Yeah, I hear that. Yeah.
We saw that
Matt?
with Black Panther and the Crew as well. It happens.
Yeah, we did with Black Panther and the Crew. I'm trying to think of a way to make an electricity joke, but I just can't seem to find one. That's too bad.
You're not keeping very current with your electricity jokes, are you?
Huh?
You know what? I think you should stay more positive and not be so negative about finding a joke.
Have you met me?
I hate it.
I'm gonna give it.
This is what it feels like, gentlemen. This is what it feels like.
I'm gonna give it an 8. I wanted to say I wanted to give it a 9-volt, but I'm gonna give it an 8.
I'm going to give it a 7.5. I enjoyed it. I do think that the pacing was unfortunate, but it's not necessarily the book's fault. So I'm going to bump that up to an 8. I enjoyed the book a lot. Next week, we are jumping back into Marvel, and we are reading Black Panther, Long Live the King, a 6-issue self-contained story set in the same world as Ta-Nehisi Coates' Black Panther. This is created by, and I'm going to mess these names up, and I apologize, but I'm doing my best. Nendi Okafor is our author. Andre Lima Araujo, Maria Del Panino, Tana Ford are our artists, and Aaron Covington did the lettering, it looks like. So looking forward to this. It's supposed to be an interesting book, and I look forward to reading it.
Yeah, it looks like same time.
We haven't read Black Panther in a bit.
No, we haven't. Not since Black Panther and the Crew.
We haven't read anything in the Ta-Nehisi verse in a bit. So that'll be fun. I'm looking forward to that. But gentlemen, I do need to leave early because I need to go. I'm going to go join a gang.
I don't think that's how that works.
All right. See you guys later.
Good luck, I guess.
Woohoo!
Shouldn't we go after him?
Meanwhile,
Hello, good sir. I've come to join your gang.
Sir, this is a Walmart.
Yes, but I understand that there's a secret society within the Walmart that I would very much like to be a part of.
Do you want? You asking to sign up for something?
Yeah, from what I understand, there's a program that I could. I'm willing to pay my way or be jumped in to this gang.
TV box sets are in electronics.
No, good sir. It's a program in the Walmart.
Do you have any idea what he's talking about?
You might be talking.
Is he talking about the Walmart
Yeah, I think he's talking about Walmart Plus, like 5.
You talking about Walmart Plus?
Yes, that's what it's called. Yes, quite willing. I'm ready to do my part for the gang.
Then just no one's asked about this before.
Hey man, it's like a rewards program and like a shipping. It's not a gang.
Oh, Boulder Dash!
later that day.
Hello, good sir. My name is, well, it's not important, but I have come to join your gang.
A gang?
Yes, quite.
This is a movie theater.
Yes, I understand. I already have my letters tattooed on my chest. CAMC.
Yeah, that's the company. That's not a gang.
Yes, quite. Yes, this is my company now, a bad company, if you will.
Sir, please put your shirt on.
No, I'm in a gang.
Are you here to sign up for the Stubbs program?
Is that what you're calling it? Yes, I will be a stub. I will be everyone's best stub.
That's just a reward program, man. That's.
Why don't, you know what? You seem to be pretty low on the totem pole. Let me speak to somebody higher.
Okay. Tim, can you come here?
Yeah. Okay.
Hello, you must be the king of the gang.
I'm the shift manager.
Is that what you're calling it? Yes, well, I am the future stub.
Listen, what two people do behind closed doors is between them. We don't need that here.
No, sir, I've come to join your gang. Is this not a gang?
This is
No,
a theater.
This is a movie theater.
We can get you popcorn.
Poppycock! Foiled again!
And finally, later that day.
Yes, hello, sir. Here is a $20 bill. I've come to join your gang.
I joined the game. This is Sam's Club. It's more of a club membership. It's in the name.
Balderdash! The third time today. Cannot seem to find a gang to
If
join.
you're looking for a gang, have you tried Costco?
Costco? Costco has a gang, of course. Costco, it's in the name. I will join their gang. Where is this Costco?
Away from here.
Right, I'm off. That is the podcast this week. Ha ha! To victory!
You can follow us on Twitter at Talking Trades. Follow Jeremy on Twitter at LizardKing27. You can find John on Twitter at Maesterlaka, Maesterlaka. And for this and other projects from Matt, please check out Facebook at Matt Spina Music. And remember, we're not experts, we're fans.